At its highest form, screenwriting is an art, but it's also a craft, and if you're lucky, it can be your trade. To me, art is all about exploring, discovering, experimenting, innovating. Art is the spontaneous originality of the creative process. It's what compels us to create. Art has the ability to reach through time and space, across language barriers, to connect with other human beings on a visceral level. Art is the emotional experience that imbues a work with significance, with thematic meaning and cultural resonance, and, if you're incredibly talented, timelessness. Craft, on the other hand, is the nuts and bolts learned expertise. Less inspiration, more perspiration. No less important, craft is made up of the learned and honed skills, of knowing where and how to lay the foundation and build the bearing walls of story structure to create a solid movie blueprint. Craft is the brains behind the beating heart of art. Art is memorable, but craft, if it's done well, should be virtually invisible to anyone who isn't looking for it. The give and take between art and craft in your screenplay should be a harmonious, seamless dance. This bar chart is simply a visual representation to graphically illustrate this point. These values and percentages are arbitrary and sure to shift and change from writer to writer, certainly over the course of your career, and definitely from project to genre. But some elements, like format, setup, and plot, likely lean heavily into the domain of craft, though ideally there will always be finesse and innovation present in the execution of every element. The writer's voice, ideas, and inspiration are often profoundly personal and may largely represent the most artistic elements of a screenplay. And trade, well, that's when you manage to turn your avocation into your vocation, to work in the trenches of a career, and that takes talent. Now, let's walk through the ways of bringing all three together in your marketing rewrite. Expressing the visual and auditory art behind the magic of movie making on the page is the heart and soul of the craft of screenwriting. Whether you're writing for the big screen, to the really IMAX 3D big, to the small, to the tiny, and every screen in between, one way to enhance the art in your screenwriting is to always be thinking in terms of moving pictures. Think of the images you are juxtaposing. Do you have interesting, meaningful transitions? Not everyone will agree with me on this, and this is undeniably my opinion, but for the purposes of a selling script or a marketing script, I don't think you need to put cut to at all. After all, isn't that what a slug line is for? To let us know that we're cutting to a new scene, a new place or time. Don't waste your reader's time reading obvious, redundant words that just clutter up your selling script. Think white space. Be efficient, be clean, and crisp. I'm sure you'll see cut to in screenplays all the time, but most of these are either shooting scripts or decade-old transcripts off the internet, or someone who has their own preference. Again, this isn't a rule by any stretch of the imagination, and there are tons who would debate me on it. Fine. You don't have to honor every suggestion anyway. These are just possibilities of ways to make for a faster-paced, more enjoyable read with less distractions. I'm all over that. I just encourage you to be extremely sparing and specific with transitions. Think about what you're saying with your words and placement. Consider dissolve to or fade to as options to indicate the passage of time, or a relationship between the two scenes or characters or worlds when such a connector might reveal theme. You might use cut to draw attention to the punchline of a joke if it's paid off by the juxtaposition of the next scene. I just want you to think of the most effective ways of using every inch of space and every precious word on the page. Don't default to repetitive, wasted, empty words just because you've seen it done that way. Does it work for your script? Do you need it? And while we're talking about slug lines, be specific with your locations. Don't be generic. Help a reader out. You can save a paragraph of description if it's a biker roadhouse bar. We get it. we can immediately visualize a greasy spoon diner versus a sidewalk cafe. We'll talk about this more in trade, but the bottom line is you want to emulate the viewing experience on the page in as few precious words as possible.